great day, everyone. Ed Dudley coming at you again with my favorite girlfriend, my only girlfriend.
Sounds better.
My only girlfriend across the pond, Miss Charmaine Subramani. How are you doing today?
I'm fabulous, Ed. Had a wonderful day. It's afternoon here, and it's always good to be in your presence, my boyfriend.
The pleasure is
Um,
mine, all mine.
oh, thank you so much. How's your morning been?
Morning's good. We're just getting started here. It's over in the States, so it's still morning here in the States. So I'm looking forward to a fun-filled day, and I got some amazing stuff going on today and some things that we're doing. So I'm excited. I'm
Fabulous.
always excited, man. Any day that I'm 6 feet above ground, I'm excited. So
That's the attitude we need to take out to the world, actually. Just being able to breathe
yeah.
and having the opportunity to make a difference is all that matters. I'm actually overly excited today because
This is gonna be fun today.
it's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting because, we're going to be chatting to an incredible human being. I'm going to start with that. A businessman, an author, a granddad, a husband, a good friend, an author. Did I say author of multiple books? Who just understands the Ubuntu philosophy, advisor to politicians. He's just so incredible, has so much value to give to the world. And I'm just excited to introduce him to the Ubuntu connected community. And Ed, just welcome him in. Let's
bring them in.
Let's have a good party, if I can call it that.
Mr. Masilela, how are you today?
Ed, I'm very well. I think I was more comfortable behind stage.
Hello, my friend. Welcome to the Ubuntu house. It's so good to see you.
Thank you very much. If only the audience knew that you shouldn't be saying that. You should be seeing me every day, not only on screen. It would be better.
So real quick, before we got started with the recording, we always have the guests come in and we talk with them and just laugh and share. But the banter between these two a few minutes ago. So if you're familiar with State Miles, I don't know if I'm gonna get. He basically called out Charmaine, basically saying she lives around the corner from him and he hasn't seen her. And this was absolutely hilarious because Charmaine said it's cold. Last night I checked, cars have heat in them. I'm just saying.
I said it was not cold, Ed. Sorry for my accent. I said it was COVID. And
COVID.
But my friend and I speak often. We're not out of reach. It's just being a little bit of a crazy fit. He knows I love him. He knows he means a lot to me. So we will make a plan. I promise.
You know, Ed, incomplete information does not tell the full picture. You forgot in over 3 years. That's the context.
Okay, friend, I love you. I've just been crazy. And let's get this party started because what I want to do is you understand this Ubuntu values, right? And Ubuntu Connected is about just spreading these beautiful values around the world and get people to know about interesting and incredible human beings that have actually made such an impact. Sorry, I have a bit of flu. Impact in our country and the role that you and your family have played and the role you continue to play. So in my view, you're a change maker. But more important, I love your humility because I gravitate to men with humility, strength, but more importantly, the courage to make a difference and change the world. On that note, I'm going to hand over to my brother or my boyfriend. I mean, you're my brother. He's my boyfriend. I'm going to get my words right. BBB. So, Ed, what is it that you want to know from Elias?
Well, I know you talked a little bit about some of the things that he's done, advisor to politicians. But, sir, I just love for you to share with people who you are. It's one thing to read a CV and talk about the things, but who are you at your core?
I'm glad you asked for the core. And often the core is not you.
Mm-hmm.
Often the core are the people that make you. So whenever I introduce myself relative to the core. So people will know me as Umntwana kaMagogo. Now, in South Africa, I would say call a friend, but I will not cause you to call a friend. I'll translate it to you. It is the child of the granny. That's what sums me in summary. You look perplexed.
No, I mean
What else do you want to hear?
that I like that. You had me thinking about that. You got me reframing now. How I say who I am at my core. So that you just had me thinking. Miss Charmaine was sharing with me as we go back. She was talking about your house growing up was a refuge for freedom fighters. So, Miss Charmaine, you want to just share a little bit more about that?
No, I don't have to. We have the man in the house, so he can. Elias, question before we get started into it and your answer Ed's question. Do you remember where we were on the 20th of June, 2007? He's terrible with dates.
That sounds like a trick question. And
no, it's not, darling.
I choose not to answer trick questions.
We were at your book launch in the Apartheid Museum, and there was a whole line of people waiting for books to be signed. Okay. I have to share with you, Ed. And, people were getting the book signed, and I had like a bit of an essay written here. And afterwards, people come up to me and ask me, what did you write in your book? What did you write in your book? And it was like, it was my book. So today I'm going to tell the world as to what you wrote in my book, Elias. He started, Sissy, whilst I've appreciated your friendship over the past while, I've not enjoyed the work pressure you have put me under. Now you know why I have been complaining. Enjoy the read. So now the world knows what was actually in this book. I know you've written some incredible books, but this one is my favorite. And the reason for it is like you tell the stories of ordinary people that was in the struggle, and that is power. So thank you for doing this. Which is your book? Which is your favorite?
Before I tell you what my favorite book is, I need to say something about what you've just done.
Absolutely.
I was wishing for a day in the future where those who were there when the book was launched are going to be invited to a cocktail and reveal what was written in their books. And you've started the journey.
I always start. We'll make this happen for sure.
I have signed books on trains, aeroplanes, boats, in all sorts of weird places. And what is interesting, you may not have read the last bit, or I had not started doing it. I always write the physical address of where the signing was, right? So if you're on an aircraft, it will be the flight number. If you're on a train, it will be the train number. So in future, the over 40,000 books of that particular book that have signed have a specific geography.
This doesn't, because it was your first.
Say that again.
This one doesn't, because it was your first.
It doesn't. Okay, yeah. I had not tested my theory yet. So the one interesting book that I signed is a book to President Obama. I'm not going to reveal the geography because I think it's confidential from a security reason.
Chicago, isn't it?
No, it's not going to be mentioned. But before I answer the question, yet again, I want to go back to what Ed said after his confusion. In South Africa, we have a concept or a saying that goes, Umuntu, ngumuntu, ngabantu. They sound ridiculous, but it rhymes and it makes perfect sense. What it means is that any human being is who he is or she is by the people around him. So I hope it will complete the core discussion that we started with.
Absolutely love that. Y'all gonna have to write that down and send that to me so I could start saying that. Because Charmaine taught me Sawabona.
Fantastic. Actually, she's better Zulu speaking than I am, so she can send it to you. To answer Charmaine's question about which book is my favorite, I think it's a function of time and a function of one's life change. Whilst number 43 is dear to me, is dear to the family because it's about the role of the family in the struggle for South Africa's liberation. It does not carry the same weight in my heart as one of the latter books that I've written, entitled Larry Simply Larry. And this is a book about our high school headmaster, a Salesian stroke Roman Catholic priest of Irish origin who arrived in Swaziland to run the school that we went to, the Salesian school. Boys' school, excelled, has products across the world. In fact, one of those products, if I can abuse the name, is Hastings, one of the founders of Netflix. He went through Larry's hands. I'm not sure if he's acknowledged it, but he has acknowledged that Swaziland did change his life. Now, writing this book changed my life. You would have noticed that on my name, I have a carriage, and the carriage is SOB. That SOB was adopted when I had my Saul to Paul moment. It was a Friday afternoon or Friday night. And there was another priest standing next to me. And he says, Elias, do you know that what you've done is special? And I said, I didn't think as much as that. I saw it as a duty just to write the book. And he says to me, no, I'm not talking about writing the book. I'm talking about today. And I said, what are you talking about? And he says to me, it is Larry's birthday today.
Oh my God.
It just sent chills across all the spines of the people in the room. Couldn't believe it. Now, in the process of writing the book, I got very close to his family, closer than he did. I even went to the extent of visiting Ireland, where he was born, to see his family, to see his friends, to see all the people that he grew with, and see the family graves. That's how much that book changed me.
Oh,
wow.
And when you page through it, there are all sorts of interesting historical accounts that are important, not only to the people in Swaziland or people in Silesia. They can be replicated across the world.
it
So-
sounds...
You can go ahead.
No,
Okay.
It just sounds phenomenal, actually. I just want to make one more comment when you say page through it. I haven't read Larry yet. I will.
Okay.
Forgive me. But when I page through this book, my only regret, if I can call it that, and I usually don't live in regret, is when I page through the photos of your book and see your parents, as well as the family pictures. I just regret not taking photos because I've gone through my life. I don't like taking pictures and I keep everything in my head. And I go, such a missed opportunity to capture my history. And your book did that to me. So whoever's listening to this podcast, just remember, it's never about you. It's about leaving a legacy when you actually capture the special moments. Sorry to interrupt, but I thought it was an important point that I needed to share.
Yeah, I see it more than a legacy because I don't believe in leaving legacies. I see it more about representing people's lives.
Sure.
I say at the beginning of number 43 that it is very important, or it was very important, document number 43, because many of the people that were in exile trying to liberate the country perished. That means many didn't come back home. Others came back home after prison and torture as weaklings. They never lasted. And I argue that for every one of us that departs, they depart with history that is important to us and future generations. So it is extremely important that we document these things. I then realized whilst writing number 43 that it doesn't matter the quality of the photograph that you come across. It may have scratches on it. It may not see people clearly. But if it is the only photograph that represents that part of history, that is the best photograph you can use. When you look at the photographs that are in number 43, many of them, a lot of people would say they are not book quality. And I disagreed with my publishers. And I said, everything that is in line with the storyline is book quality.
I agree with you.
Wow.
Thank you very much.
That's good. I mean, you got me rethinking photos. And I snap photos on my, with technology now. I'm taking photos with my phone, the kids and the grandkids and all that. But we don't have the hard copy anymore. We don't use that much anymore. And honestly, I miss touching those photos because sometimes, I think of my grandmother. I got a picture of my grandmother over there, and I look at the photo and I can touch the photo and think about the history with her and the time spent with her as well. So, I mean, that is something that I think everyone could draw from, that part of history with that photo. Because I look at the photo right there with my grandmother. I remember exactly where we were and what we were doing at that time. And that was 40 something years ago.
Yeah.
In this book, when I look at the picture, Elias was a baby. He's the baby in the family. Elias, you still with us?
Looked like he froze up a little bit. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, that was interesting. Talking about
when he speaks about the people that fought for our freedom, I get choked up because so many people actually sacrificed their lives for us to live in this beautiful country. And I think the ones that are leading it need to appreciate the sacrifice and lead.
So the concept of photographs and how important they are for our history is very, very significant, was made significant by writing number 43. I will give you two instances which are important. If you go to the center spread of the book, you have a number of family photos, and then you have one where there are 3 children. One is wearing what we call an Omo cap. So Omo in South Africa is a washing powder head. It has been there for ages. So they would use their promos by giving out caps and t-shirts and all sorts of things. So that picture was taken in 1967, 68, right? We are a family of 9. That picture has 3 people on it, or 3 children on it. All the siblings have died. And the only siblings that are remaining alive today are those three. We now refer to ourselves the three blind mice.
Sorry. I love you. And your
Why
storytelling.
blind mice?
Because when that picture was taken, nobody knew, even the person who was taking the picture, that the family will be decimated and the only people who are going to be left to tell the family history are those three children on the book or on the picture.
Wow.
And what is interesting is that these children come after each other in this order. So these died, and the last one died, and only these are remaining, exactly in their order. So when I say things are written in heaven, we have no control, that is one example. Another example, when our parents were born, the tendency was that it would be a home managed birth. They never went to hospitals or clinics. So once the child is born, a teacher or a priest or somebody in the neighborhood is going to come with what we call a foolscap exercise book and write the date of birth of the child. And the next child is born 2-3 years later, they'll come back and do the same and add on to the list. So the eldest sister in my father's family had this page, which she remembered packing in 1946. And she says she's never seen it again. The reason we needed that page is simply because my father contests his date of birth. According to his ID, in the past, it was called the Dompas in South Africa. It was a piece of document that was produced for the Black community to manage where they go and where they don't go. And that migrated to becoming an ID, an identity document. So in his ID, the date of birth is 1925. For him, he claims that he was born a year earlier. So we're looking for this piece of paper whilst we're writing. And this was 2007. This paper had not been seen since 1946, when she packed it and the parents died and they moved from Mpumalanga to a place, from a place called Mpumalanga to a place called Pretoria. So I asked her, do you have this paper? She says, I should have it somewhere, but I cannot tell you where it was. I've moved houses 4 or 5 times in my life. So I don't even know where to search. So we wrote it off. Right at the tail end of working on the manuscript, she calls me. Elias, come here immediately. So I thought somebody is sick or she needs to be taken to the hospital because she was
You're
quite
in trouble as usual.
Eh?
Or you're in trouble as usual.
Or I'm in trouble. But I was never in trouble with her. I was a sweet boy to her. So I jump into my car, drive to where she stays, and she says to me, Elias, your ancestors are with you. And I said, what has happened? And she now tells me a story. She says, I was cleaning my house, getting rid of old stuff that I don't need, just to have the house clean and allow guests to come in and see a neat house. And as I was throwing stuff away, and I was not looking, so at some point, I then got tired. So I decided to sit down. When I sat down, I saw, now in Zulu it rhymes, in English it will not rhyme. But if directly translated, it means that I saw this piece of paper that was tattered and torn lying on the floor in front of me. And I asked myself, what is this? She went down. She was quite elder. She was in her 80s, 90s at that point. She knelt down, picked up this paper, opened it. It was exactly that page you were looking for, that she hadn't seen since 1946.
Wow.
So that document is in the book. In the early pages of the book, you will find it there. I think it's in chapter 2. Just proving the birth date of the old man.
Yeah.
So therein, we can still confirm that a lot of the things that we do are made in heaven.
I agree. I'm a believer of that, actually. And I mean, Elias's dad is such an incredible man, and so is his mum, actually. Well, that kind of explains why he's somewhat nice. So moving on. That's phenomenal. I just love you. I love your storytelling. I can get so caught up in his mind and his perspective and all of that. So, Mr. Masilela.
So you don't want me to finish Larry's
Oh, no,
birthday?
please do. Please do. My apologies.
Because I digressed for a question that I was asked. So I think it was important. It's important to tell Larry's birthday day, right? So whilst we're excited about this book being delivered on his birthday and this elderly priest behaving like a primary school kid, the
Wasn't
phone
that
rings.
special?
Very special. Very, very special. The phone rings and he turns around and says, Elias, go and pick up that call. And I said, Father, why? He says, that's my birthday call from my nephew. Oh, no, from my cousin. Apparently, every year at that time, 6 p.m., the cousin will call from London to wish him happy birthday.
Oh.
Wow.
So I went and picked up the call. When she heard my voice, she couldn't believe it. She says, Elias, what are you doing in Swaziland? I said, I've come to celebrate Larry's birthday. And she says, do you do that every year? I said, no, I don't. So why this year? I said, I've come to deliver his book.
Oh.
You can imagine, what happened after that, right? So that's how special the delivery of this book was. That is Larry, simply Larry.
Wow.
So he changed my life in many ways, because exactly 3 months after the book was published, he died. Now, he didn't die in the normal way. I can imagine nobody believes that people today can die of starvation. Larry died of starvation. Apparently, he had made a decision that he's achieved all that he can do in this world, and there is nothing more to be done. And he just decided not to eat until he parted with his life, Christmas Day 2018.
Oh my God, the same day as our Archbishop
Yes.
Tutu,
Yes.
25th on
Yes.
Christmas Day. How incredible is that,
That's
eh?
right.
They left. And
In fact, Desmond Tutu came to celebrate Larry in Swaziland.
I have no doubt he was there. He's the guy that I tend to quote on some of the quotations from an Ubuntu perspective. Desmond Tutu, quite a... And I get excited when I think an incredible human being that will speak his mind no matter who's in the room. You just need to hear it.
Yes.
And he's done greatness for us as South Africans. A lot of us can follow his footsteps, but very few does so. But let's leave it for another day.
That is what changed me, Ed. When we buried Larry, the relatives or the family couldn't come down to Swaziland, and they asked me, Elias, please be a McDonald for this week and represent the family and send our brother, our father, our cousin, our priest, our everything on our behalf. And from that day onwards, I became the Salesian old boy. That's the SOB.
I love it. That's absolutely amazing. That is wow.
Those are selfless acts that you are kind of known for sometimes. I say that in tongue in cheek, you know, I mean it's in a good way, right? I'm allowed to like have a bit of banter now and again. So no, that was an incredible story. I mean, I'm going to read the book for sure for now. Yeah, it's just, it talks about human connection, right? And the power and importance of it. And also the power of the universe connecting the people at the right time to deliver something that needs to be done. I mean, we are conduits for some of the messages that needs to be carried out into this world. I believe it. I was just, before you got into the call, I was mentioning to Ed, your birthday is on the 27th of April, Freedom Day. Your family was responsible for helping free our country. How, you know, that connection is symbolic. I mean, I get so emotional at times. So Ed, just continue this conversation.
Look, I don't think I would have said it better than that. You know, Ed, English is my fourth language. So there are certain things that I cannot express. So I rely on people like her.
Yeah.
He just lies. He's eloquent. He just used that as a defense sometimes in boardrooms. English is not my first language, so I don't understand.
Say it again.
No, we have like the reason Ed and I mean, we decide on who's coming on, and obviously I have to tell him and give a bit of a bio as to who you are and things. And I mean, he was like, bring him in. We need to tell the world as to what happens and what we could possibly, as individuals, when we agree and commit to doing things, we'll be able to influence and drive change. And Ubuntu is about that. It's not the big successes, you know, like people's success. How do you define success, Elias, while we're here? What does success mean to you?
I'll go back to the phrase that you used earlier on of leaving a legacy. And I argue that it's not about leaving a legacy. It's about making the people around you better than what they were when you found them. That is success.
I love that.
So it ought not be about you. It has to be about the people around you.
I love that. That's power. That's why we invited you to come share. The more selfless people are, the more impact we will actually have and give recognition. And that's what you so beautifully do in your book as well. So yeah, so what else can you share? You know, I get so excited when you're in the room, right? I'm equally excited today because I have Ed and you. How lucky a girl am I, right? What else can you share with us or want to land with our viewers?
Ed, you know, the at least 3 years that I'm talking about is very important to me, you know, because we are a big family as the Masilela family, but we also have what we call the extended family of number 43. Now, the extended family of number 43 is everybody, firstly, everybody who's been to number 43, use number 43 as a refuge whilst they were in exile. Today, we've extended that concept of the family of number 43 to all those people who identify with the story of number 43 and the fundamental principle of number 43, which is Magogoism. Now, Magogoism is a phrase that we coined when we buried our mother. We used to call her Magogo, which is granny, even though she's not our granny, she was our mother. Everybody else around her called her granny, so we ended up calling her granny. So when my brother stood up to talk about her, she explained how we're raised, how we're socialized, and how we continue to live our lives today from those lessons. and she defined it, he coined the term Magogoism. We then, subsequent to that, had to find meaning to that phrase. Now, the definition of the phrase, if you Google it, it will tell you that it is the spirit of giving and sharing selflessly. So the last 3 years was very instrumental to us. April 22, which she knows about, and I know she's not attending because the event is now oversold. We are having an annual golf event as number 43 to celebrate life and humanity post-COVID and post-lockdown.
I wasn't the one before COVID. So cut me some slack, please.
Ed, we're talking about future now. We're planning for going forward. So why these 3 years are important to us? Being a big family, you'll know that you'll end up with this huge network of people.
Yeah.
Right? So it's just not my friends that matter. It's my friends to my brother, to my sister, it's my friends to me, my colleagues, my comrades, my everything, right? So if you start thinking about the numbers, it's an exponential growth of the number of people that we're connected with across the globe. And what that meant is that if you think about families of the world and think about the network that the Masilela family has or developed over the years, on a net family basis, we experienced the largest number of losses to the family globally. So what we did when the lockdown started in March of 2020, as a family, we decided we are going to meet every day at 6 o'clock, which is a check-in. How are you doing? Are you still healthy? How are you doing emotionally? Are you still fine? How are you doing financially? Can we assist? Now, you would get people like Charmaine. Elias, I want to see you today. I'm not available. I'm having this check-in. And some of them were very inquisitive. What is this check-in about? And when they realized what the check-in was about, they said would like to join in. Or the other thing that we are supposed to do was to pray. Because Magogo would not allow us to start anything or end anything without a prayer. Magogo is our mother. I'll remind you on that. So people will come and pray with us. Would invite musicians, poets. It ended up becoming a stage of arts and prayer. So in that process, one of our nephews said, we need to write a book about this. And I said to them, I understand the argument. It makes perfect sense, but I'm not the one writing the book.
I remember.
And they insisted the book has to be written. Then I said, okay, if you want to write it, you write it. The only thing that I will do is to coordinate. I was amazed. This was supposed to be a book with about 20 to 30 pages. That book just grew phenomenally, unbelievably. And contributions came from all over the world. Africa, North America, don't remember if there was somebody from South America, I'll have to check the list. Europe, China, Australia. All these people were contributing to this book. And this book is telling the story of families in the lockdown and how they survived the difficulties. We then decided as a family, we will publish it as one of those contributions to history for people 100 years on, when they want to know how we survived in the last 2 to 3 years. And then they can be able to learn from that experience. And the title of the book is The Number 43 COVID Journey.
I remember.
When it was launched, it was
I was there.
amazing. The launch was people from all over the world. And
was
she
there.
brought a caravan of people who were disrupting the launch.
That's what I do, right? No, he's joking. I mean, we are about community and things. As much as it gives me a hard time that we don't see each other that often, we do connect. We do make time, moments, and things. I mean, to be honest, Elias, I mean, you wouldn't be here if I didn't have the utmost respect for you, because we're very selective as to who we choose to have these conversations with.
Yeah.
And people that really matter and walk in humble steps and make a difference in the world are the people that we want to, we engage with, to be able to share these stories. And there's so many powerful things that came out of this. The power of documenting, the power of, because I'm a little bit of an idiot that way. It's like, oh, that's in my memory. That's all that matters. Nobody's going to tap into my memory when I'm dead. Because I don't like to talk about me or what I've done or what I'm doing. It's like it's for me. But the need to be able to share and people could learn from your experience. And I think that's what this podcast also is helping doing, to help people get a lesson, understand what it is they can do to be a better human. What it takes to write a book. Why do it? Just don't do it for the money. Do it for the intention of having a specific purpose. And you've done that so beautifully in all your writings, Elias. And I'm grateful for you. I've learned a lot from you when you're nice to me. And I've learned a lot from you when you're not nice to me. So I handle both pretty well. I'm a strong girl. Can't you see it? X, save me, please, before he talks.
Nope, not at all. I'm here today to listen and learn.
I know.
I'm sitting here and learning a lot of stuff that over here in North America, especially our African Americans, we know nothing about. So I'm sitting here listening to you and sharing with you. And as you're talking, I'm sitting here looking at your website, number 43. And I'm sitting there and my mouth is open. I'm like, wow, I didn't know this. I'm like, this is absolutely amazing. And I'm about to buy the book. So yeah, because I definitely want to learn some more.
Can I just gift you the book rather? So it's like, okay, whatever. We'll have a conversation outside of this.
We'll sort that out. I want to add something that is very challenging, Ed. You'll decide what you want to do with it. You want to be emotional, you want to be academic about it, and it's entirely up to you. I mentioned that I'm a strong believer about things being written in heaven.
Mm-hmm.
And I've already mentioned to you that 3 months after Larry's book was published, he died. Now, it wasn't a coincidence that's in isolation. There are 2 other coincidences exactly the same way. That book that Charmaine has, number 43, the main character is my mother. If you see the face on that book, that's my mother. That too, exactly 3 months after it was published, she died. The number 43 COVID journey, I worked very closely with the Prime Minister of Swaziland.
He died. He was there on the call, I remember.
Yes.
When we launched.
He was at the call. He presented the keynote address.
I know.
As a friend to the family, friend to number 43, and Premier of Swaziland. After the book was published and launched, he also died. Now, I don't know what to make of that. Whether to continue writing or to stop is a challenge that I'm faced with. So a lot of people, when they hear this, they say, please don't write about us.
I know. You can write about me. I'm ready to go, actually, because I think I've done whatever I needed to. Now, the point is, the universe is going to give us what we need. My mom always says, it's written in the stars. You think you have control, you have very limited control, and that's her words. Elias,
Just real quick, you started talking about the number 3.
43.
43.
43. Now, did you say
Yeah.
it was 3 months after the
Oh
book?
yeah. Okay. Okay. Yes. Yes.
So that number 3 means completeness. So we don't know whether that journey, that part of that person's life was complete now. Everything that they were, as you said, was written in heaven already. We don't know if that part of their life was done now, because that 3, completeness. So they might have completed the journey and the work they were meant to do here on this earth. So I am an apologetic Christian. I tell people, and the 3 is basically in the Bible is the Trinity, the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, and it also means completeness. So when I heard you start rambling saying three, we hear complete. It is done. The works is finished.
Ed,
It.
go ahead, Shami.
No, I was just going to say that's quite an insightful reflection, actually. And it's sort, if I may just add to that, Elias, you shouldn't stop writing because you have wisdom to give.
Yeah.
And whatever you need to, the reason why you're here on this earth is to be able to gift the world with your talent and your insights. Keep doing it. And just before you respond to that, my favorite number, and Ed knows it, is 3. I gravitate towards people with a 3. So if I look at Ed, his birthday is on the 18th of October. If I take a 1 and an 8, it's a 9, so it's 3 cubed. If I look at you, it's the 27th of April. If I take the 2 and the 7, it's a 9, it's 3 cubed. So we're already on our 3 mission. I'm on 21, don't care which month it is. It's a number 3 if I put it together. So I have this tendency, and people that tend to do this kind of work, when I look at my Each One Hold One co-founders, each of them translates into number 3. Melissa's on the 12th of January, it's a 3. Kobeshni's on the 12th of June, it's a 3. And I'm on the 21st, it's a 3. My son's born on a 3. So that 3 is the element of creation and completeness in many respects. My boyfriend, Elias, you can respond now after I've just spoken so much of nonsense.
No, you haven't. In fact, the way you defined Ed's contribution is impeccable. And I think, Ed, I didn't think about 3 from this perspective. And Ed has just solved a family riddle. I've never thought myself as being spiritual, but every time the signs show themselves, I find it difficult not to see them, because even if you're a scientist, we say in science, an experiment is something that's replicable over time and across space. And if something keeps repeating itself across time and across space, it must mean something, even if you don't know where it comes from. So, Ed, I'm going to tell you a story which is very recent. Actually, it's current. When you read number 43, you will find that it has an interesting tense. My editor calls a past, present, future tense. So it depends on what you're thinking about or what you're reading for you to work out whether it's past tense, present, or future. So what the story I'm going to tell you is actually the 3, past, present, and future tense. So in 2019, we decide to celebrate our father's birthday for the first time in his life at 95 years. And in making the decision to celebrate, we also make the decision we will color code the birthday. And where everybody will wear green. Sorry, not green, yellow. And we call it We call it Ndebele yellow. I don't know if you know about the Ndebele tribe in South Africa.
No.
It's the most colorful tribe in the world. You can Google it, Ndebele. You will understand what I'm talking about. So, because my dad is Ndebele, we drew this color that is related with light. She loves light. Charmaine, I know, loves light. It's related with life. It's related to happiness. So that's why we chose yellow. And this was August 2019. And in the period leading to August 2019, the old man calls us and says, Bantwabam, which means my children. Last night, I had a conversation with God. What do you mean? He says, yeah. I was having this discussion with God. So we asked, what were you talking about? He says, I was asking him to give me 3 more years. And we said, jokingly, so why did you ask 3 more years? He says, it's because there are things I have to do before I die. And we say, what are those things? He turns around and says, that is between me and God. So it's a mystery to us. He knows exactly what he asked for and for what purpose. We just left it there. So we have this annual event as well in Swaziland as a family, which at the time we stopped doing it in 2020. We're attracting over 2,000 people from across the world. So we then decided we will theme the 2020 event around him. The color is going to be the same theme color we had for his birthday, yellow. So we prepared and were ready for this event. It was going to be the biggest event in 12 years. The first 11 years were focused on Umagogo and less on him. This time around, we said it has to be on him. And what we did, there's a logo that goes with the theme of 2020, and it's his thumbprint. And this thumbprint is meant to leave a footprint of his contribution to South Africa's liberation. And the theme for that year was going to be culture and freedom. The Ndebele with their bright culture, and freedom which he delivered to South Africa. That's how they come together. So everybody's excited, looking forward to this event. Come March 2020, the event gets cancelled. So we make a very firm determination. We're canceling the event. We'll have it again in 2021, same theme, same color, same everything. Come 2021, we cannot do it. Come 2022, we decided we're going to do it. Right? And after 2 years plus, South Africa comes back to level 0.
So you can do it now.
Say it again.
So you can do it now. You're celebrating this year, aren't you?
We decided even before the level 0. So this thing has all of a sudden opened and allowed us to celebrate without any restriction. But here's the catch. This is year 3. So we're asking ourselves, what does this 3 actually mean? And Ed, actually, you've added spirituality into this thinking. So we're just waiting.
Thank you for sharing, my friend. It's so I mean, you've always been amazing and your storytelling and all of that, but just for bringing both of you together just created a special connection today. And he helped complete an element, as you said, of questioning that's been happening. This has been, who thought we're going to be sitting here today talking about, when you asked me for the agenda, my dear friend, I was like, what is this man thinking about? We're just having a conversation. Imagine if I gave you an agenda. We'll be talking now. This has been one of the most incredible connections for me today.
This has been absolutely amazing for me. I sat there and we started talking about three, and then the three siblings that were left. I literally got a little choked up over here.
I saw that.
Just hearing the story and how the three is relating in your life. So as you say, it's already written in heaven.
Interesting, very, very interesting. Thank you very much. That perspective I would never have thought about it.
Yeah, and then he filed asking for 3 more years.
Yes.
Yeah, that number 3 is heavy in your family's life.
Yeah.
But it's also, we're all here to journey through life. And once we've done what we have to, like Father Larry did, he chose to leave. He did something upon himself to actually exit in a way that he died. It's a pity, but that was his choice to do, though. So I'm on this journey, and I have been for a while. It's the concept of detachment. Know why you're here, fulfill the gift that you have to give the world. And when it's your time, be happy or ready to leave, whether it's yourself or family. And it's a bit of a hard concept, because when people sometimes listen to when I say these things, they were like, you're so hard, you're so cold, you're so this. It's not. It's just understanding what it is that you have to give and when it is to leave. Oh, my darlings, I could speak to you the whole bloody day and we could go on and on and on. But hey, we have to leave.
Yeah, I will say this. I know we want to have you back. I know that for a fact that we want to have you back, that, finish this conversation and learn a lot more about, for me, it's an education, and I'm learning a lot. And I'm thankful that I'm learning a lot about what is happening over, or what has happening over in Africa. And I know there's quite a few people I know in my sphere that are wanting to learn that as well. And I can't wait to actually get over there and I can put foot on ground in the country. So I will be there soon.
Looking forward to that. We have lots of family on the East Coast in particular, and 1 or 2 on the West Coast. I don't know if you will know her as somebody else, but we know her as Khuyapili going forward. This is a South African musician born in the US. And in the US, she's called Guapili.
I love Guapile.
Yeah. Something like that.
I love Guapile. I first learned about her probably, I want to say 20 years ago. And I heard her music. I was like, oh my goodness, I love her.
She's our cousin.
Yeah.
You see?
So that's how small the world is.
Yeah.
So the one thing that is fascinating about having had a relationship with Larry is that everything he spoke about, I'm going back to what Charmaine was saying, everything he spoke about, he always punctuated or ended with death. He says, after all, our journey is going back to where we belong. So I think I bought into that logic. Talking about death is a very simple task for me. My family was very perturbed when I went to buy a gravesite of 24 10 years ago. And I said, how can you buy a grave whilst you're still this young? And because of the lessons of preparing for your entire journey, For me, it was very easy to do. So, like you, Charmaine, I think I'm ready to go when the time comes.
Do your work and move on. We'll party on the other side, Elias. I mean, it's always fun being in your company and its company. So life's a journey. It's been incredible, I have to say. So thank you. I love you both. And thank you for your knowledge share and the information that you've landed. And hopefully our listeners just one thing that triggers something that moves them forward. That's what we want. And love and joy is what the world needs. So give it generously. Thank you, my friend. I love you.
Thank you very much. Much
Appreciate
appreciated. Ed, it was a good pleasure.
The pleasure was mine, sir.
I have no doubt we'll be seeing each other soon, either on this side of the river or the other side of the river. Yes. I don't know if you watched this movie of a child that it's a slave movie. A child that sneaked behind the slave traders who were driving their parents to the ocean and witnessed where they were taken to and ran back home. So when she related the story back home, where they were taken to, she says, they were taken to this river that never ends. So I hope I'll see you on this side of the river that never ends.
You will. You definitely will, my friend. I appreciate you. We value you. This has been another Ubuntu Connected podcast series. This was probably one of my favorite that we've recorded. And, thank you for the knowledge, the wisdom, and the history that you've shared with us. So love you all. Love, light. May God bless each of you. Take care, everybody.
Much appreciated. Cheers, man.
Thank you.